Hi friends, today we're talking about the Sermon on the Mount. This is part of Bible Drill Green Cycle. For more information, check out the description below. Hi friends, I'm Miss Nancy Ruth.
And I'm Mr. Roger.
We want to see kids living for Jesus. The Sermon on the Mount is found in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. To help us remember that, we have our little Matthew character here. Do you remember how we got that? Then we have the chapter range here on the backs of the people listening to Jesus teach. The Sermon on the Mount is found in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. Sermon on the Mount, one more time. The Sermon on the Mount is found in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. Let's look at how to find this in our Bibles. For that, I'm going to need my Bible here. It's in the book of Matthew. To find the book of Matthew, you open your Bible as close to the middle as you can. And you should be in Psalms or Proverbs or thereabouts. I ended up in Isaiah, went a little far. Then you open the right half in the middle, as close to the middle as you can. And you should be in the Gospels. The Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'm in Luke. So I need to go backward till I get to Matthew. There's Matthew. And then I need to find chapters 5 through 7. So I'm going to flip back till I get to the big 5. Here we go. Mine even has a title on the top that says The Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5 through 7. So what are in these chapters? What did Jesus teach about on the Sermon on the Mount? He talked a lot about things that people had heard in the Old Testament that is taught in the Old Testament, and he shares God's heart behind it. So let's really quickly look at some of what he said. The Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5 through 7. He said, in chapter 5, he started with a list of what's called the Beatitudes. Blessed are people who have these characteristics. Then he talks about salt and the light, and we have a verse about Matthew 5:16 to memorize it, which you can check out. He talked about how Jesus fulfilled the law. He talked about how one of the 10 commandments says we shouldn't murder one another, but Jesus said, if you even hate somebody and say that fool in your heart, then you as good as committed murder. That sin is the same. He talked about marriage. He talked about how we should relate to other members of the opposite sex. He talked about divorce. He talked about how we should make our promises. He talked about what to do if people hurt you. He talked about loving and praying for your enemies instead of trying to hurt them back. What else did he talk about in the Sermon on the Mount? Chapter 6 starts with talking about how when we give and we do things for other people, don't do it so that other people can recognize you and give you props. Do it from the right heart. He talked about the model prayer, and we have a whole teaching series where Miss Gail talked us through that, and you can look for those videos. He talked about how to do fasting. He talked about how we shouldn't store up treasures here on earth where things could go bad and people could steal it, but instead to put treasures in heaven. He talked about what to do when you're worried and you're anxious. What else is in the Sermon on the Mount? In chapter 7, he said, don't be judgmental. He talked about prayer and how we should keep asking and knocking and seeking God's answers, and God will answer us. He talked about the wide and the narrow gate, how the only way we can get to heaven, there's only one way, and that is through Jesus. He talked about how you can know what's in a person's heart by their actions, what we call their fruit, whether they're dead or alive in Christ. He ended with a parable, a story about two people, one who built a house on the sand and one who built their house on the rock. And the big storm and the waves and the rain came, and which one do you think stood standing? This is really prevalent since where I used to live in Florida has just been decimated by a hurricane. And the places that are closest to the beach were the ones that were completely wiped out. Jesus said, if you listen to the words that he said in the Sermon on the Mount and live by them, you will be like that person who built their house on the rock and can stand through any storm. That is the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:16. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this with your friends. See you next time.